What is up, Space Revolutionary Army and Vultures? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are beginning our coverage of the After War universe and the anime After War Gundam X. This universe asks the question, what if the colony drop was successful and it put an end to the war? And what if this time the Space Noids defeated the Earth Noids? We follow our hero Garrod as he is hired to steal a girl named Tifa, but this takes him on a journey which leads him to piloting Gundam X. Let's not waste any time and let's get into this. The show starts with a war called the Seventh Space War. One colony's independence led to the Space Revolutionary Army fighting against the United Nations Earth. After a stalemate, the Space Revolutionary threatened a massive colony drop on Earth. The United Nations Earth responded with Gundams. The SRA decided to drop colonies onto Earth. 10 billion were killed. 15 years later, after War 15, life still continues on Earth. While two former soldiers are begging for money, the village is attacked by a Genus Kai. The RMS 006G Genus Kai is a mass-produced general-purpose mobile suit used by the Space Revolutionary Army during the Seventh Space War. The Kai variant is simply the ground variant of the Genus. Much of the vents and exhausts are sealed off. It also does not have the spike shoulder like the original Genus. Many of these units will be used by the Vultures. Its main weapons are the machine cannons mounted into the torso, along with a 100mm machine gun, and Vulcan guns supposedly as strong as the 100mm machine gun. It also has a heat hawk and a giant bazooka. They respond by firing a turret to its face. The beggars from the war ended up being cowards and running away. "You stupid kid, I said I need armor-piercing rounds." A young man throws a flashbang and hijacks the mobile suit. He lets the townfolk take care of the terrorist. This is Garrod Ran. He ends up selling the Genus Kai for money. A man wants to hire him for a job. Garrod believes that if you start piloting mobile suits, count your days, because it brings nothing but death. The man shows him a picture of Tifa Adil. He wants him to rescue her. A vulture has taken her. Vultures are junkers and scavengers that look for old mobile suits and wreckage from the old war. In the desert is the Frieden. The Frieden is an old Alps-class land battleship used by the Vultures. This has the ability to move over bodies of water as well. Its only weapon is a twin-beam cannon. Because of this, it mainly relies on mobile suits for defense. The ship has a large cargo bay on the side. The captain of the ship is Jamil Neat, and he stole Tifa. Tifa dreams of the Gundam while on the Frieden. While the ship stops to get water, I think, Garrod sneaks on board the ship. He almost gets caught by a half-naked Tanya, the communications officer. Garrod sneaks into the captain's quarters to steal their riches for himself before saving the girl. All he finds is a mobile suit control unit. He then finds Tifa. He makes things awkward before telling her that he is here to save her. But all Tifa thinks about is the Gundam. She says she has been waiting for him. As the Frieden launches, Jamil notices Tifa is fleeing. At that moment, the Vultures are attacked. They have to flee without the girl. Garrod takes her to the man that hired her, but something seems off, so he flees before handing her off. Tifa guides him towards what she calls a very important power. Behind them is the Daughters. The DT-6800 Daughters is a general-purpose mobile suit created by the United Nations Earth Forces. Depending on the loadout, this can function in both space and Earth. These are great for drop missions. There are multiple variants of this unit. Weapons include a 90mm machine gun, an optional bazooka, a beam saber, and a shield. They fire on their buggy as Tifa gives directions. Garrod wonders what this power is. They flee into the ruins of an old UNE factory. More Daughtresses attack and hit the buggy. It goes flying. Garrod pulls himself up, but Tifa is perfectly fine, no scratches. She points at the mobile suit she was sensing. It is Gundam X. The GX 9900 Gundam X is a Gundam-type mobile suit developed by UNE, which utilizes the Flash system. This Flash system operates the satellite cannon, which is the X on the back. The moon transmits super microwaves to the Gundam, allowing the satellite cannon to take down a colony. The Flash system enhances the thoughts of Newtypes as well, along with controlling unmanned bits called G-bits. This couldn't be activated until Garrod used the G-controller on the suit. This G-controller serves to activate the satellite cannon as well. Other weapons include the Shield Buster rifle, which can switch between rifle mode and shield mode. It also uses a long beam sword, 4-chest Vulcan, a 4-barrel Gatling gun attached to the backpack, a hyper bazooka, and much more. Garrod gets into the Gundam with Tifa. The Daughters fires, but it barely scratches the unit. He connects the G controller that he stole earlier and activates the Gundam. Garrod charges and punches the Daughters in the face. The remaining flee outside the forest, where they regroup and fire a missile barrage on the Gundam. It comes out of the rubble unfazed. He destroys all of the mobile suits with his fists. That is when two more mobile suits approach. It is Gundam Leopard and Gundam Airmaster. The GT-9600 Gundam Leopard is a Gundam-type mobile suit made by UNEF and is a heavy-type mobile suit. This can also utilize the flash system and will eventually utilize GT bits. This unit isn't capable of flight. However, it can move at fast speeds on the ground. The Gundam can also be refitted for aquatic combat in what is called the S1 unit. Even though this is a chunky boy, it is still agile. The inner arm Gatling gun pierces through armor with ease. This can be refitted into a torpedo launcher when using the S1 unit. Other weapons include a chest Gatling, a pair of homing missiles in the knees, shoulder missiles, head Vulcans, a head cannon below the head Vulcans, a beam knife, and a few other missile pods. The GW-9800 Gundam Airmaster was developed by UNEF and also contains the flash system, which allows this unit to eventually control GW bits. This unit specifically has what is called the trans system, which allows it to transform into a fighter jet. This is lightly armed compared to Leopard. Weapons include head Vulcans, a nose Vulcan, a buster rifle, and shoulder missiles. The Frieden follows behind the two mobile suits. The pilots are Witz and Roy Bea. They begin fighting. Garrod is caught off guard. He tries to bluff, claiming he has a secret weapon, but Witz and Roy Bea don't buy it. Garrod fake threatens to harm Tifa if they continue fighting him. He takes off. Gundam Airmaster chases in flight mode, but the Frieden tells him to return. Someone is spying on the Vultures. These are more Vultures. These Vultures take this information and sell it to Widoba Morte, another Vulture. That Gundam is worth a pretty penny. On the Frieden, Witz and Roy Bea talk about selling intel for some cash. The two aren't a part of the Frieden crew. They're freelancers. Batanya and Sayla hear everything. Roy Bea wants to know more about this Tifa, but even the girls don't know too much about it, and the captain is tight-lipped. Garrod tells Tifa he was born the year the war ended. His dad was an engineer who died in the war. Most of his friends died throughout the years. He wants to eventually become an engineer himself. While talking, they are attacked by Widoba and her Genis Kai/Buffalo. The RMS 006G Genis Kai/Buffalo is a customized Genis Kai and has an extended skirt compared to the base model. It also has two long horns like a buffalo on its head. The armor is thickened and the joints reinforced. Weapons include a rapid-fire machine cannon, Vulcans, a 100mm machine gun, and a heat saber. Garrod and Tifa get into the Gundam. As the two fight, a Vulture tries to interfere. They too want the Gundam. Garrod is able to take down the Genis with his beam saber. The Vultures move in and fight over the scraps. In many ways, the war is still going on. The Gundam is surrounded by mobile suits. He tears through as many as he can. The Frieden heads towards the battle. They launch Leopard and Airmaster. Tifa says that she will give Garrod her power. She activates the lunar microwaves. Jamil can sense Tifa is using her power. The satellite system activates. Energy is beamed directly from the moon to Gundam X. The Gundam emits vast amounts of light. Garrod fires. However, he didn't realize he was firing a weapon of mass destruction in Earth's atmosphere. Jamil calls this power the Devil. It wipes out everything in its line of sight. Tifa is also stunned by this power. Garrod tries to fire the satellite cannon, but it needs to recharge. Jamil jumps into the Gundam and holds the kid hostage. He must surrender. Jamil tells him that Tifa can hear the souls of everyone around her, including all those Garrod just killed. He tries to attack Jamil, but he gives the kid a punch to the face. Meanwhile, a red mobile suit attacks the alternative company and their mobile suits. He beats down one mobile suit before offering his services to President Von Alternative. He is Shagia Frost, and he is piloting Gundam Versago. The NRX 0013 Gundam Versago is developed by the Government Reconstruction Committee. This Gundam does not have the flash system. Its main weapon is the Megasonic Cannon. This is capable of vaporizing a battleship. This cannon has a large recoil and must be grounded before firing, though the satellite cannon is still superior. Other weapons include a beam saber, a strike claw which has a beam cannon, and a 3-barrel beam gun. The president wonders what he is after. He knows that Tifa was a research subject here until Vultures took her a week ago. He believes she is a Newtype, and Newtypes have a lot of value in this universe. Alternative tries to pull a gun on Shaggy, but he throws a queen from a chess set at him. He says, even though you just tried to kill me, I am so going to get Tifa back for you. We will learn that Shaggy is also a Newtype, though not a powerful one. Garrod knocks out the guard with some sleeping powder, which happens to be crew member Shingo Mori. He sneaks around the ship before returning to his cell. We will learn that he is picking flowers for Tifa. The next morning, the Freedom watches an attack by Vultures on a transforming mobile suit. The Vultures split off, and half the team rushes the Freedom. Wits and Roy Bay launch. Jamil lets Garrod out of the brig. He wants Garrod to watch the Gundams fight. They too are pros at what they do. They're able to take out the enemy and save Olba Frost and his Gundam Ashtaron. More on that later. We will learn that he is Shaggy's brother. He decides to join the Freedom crew. His Newtype connection allows him to communicate with his brother. He is leading Shaggy to Tifa, while Garrod sneaks out again to get some flowers. Olba injects Tifa with something. A doctor tells the crew that Tifa's nerve tissue is collapsing, and she has about a week to live. They could definitely fix this with proper facilities. Jamil knows of a place. They plan on going to the labs over at the alternative company. The crew has been left in the dark for too long. They want to know why Jamil thinks the girl is so important. The doctor contacts him and says things are getting worse, and she has about 2 days. Jamil finally tells the crew that he was a Gundam pilot for the UNE during the war. They use Newtypes as Gundam pilots. Once the Gundam's fired, the SRA dropped colonies on Earth. He is a Newtype, but he can no longer use his powers. He is protecting Tifa because she too is a Newtype. He wants to protect all Newtypes. Ritz and Roy Baez say, well, it looks like our contracts are up. We're out of here. Peace. Garrod wants the two to stay and help Jamil, but the best they could do is a knee to the gut. Wit says Garrod feels this way because he wants to do something, but is ultimately helpless. Garrod needs to understand how the world works. How does this world work? Because so far, this After War universe looks like Mad Max with mobile suits. Also, we are witnessing the adults don't understand children moment that we see in every Gundam series. Garrod visits Tifa again. Jamil sends out a flare to other Vultures to help them with this cause. He's calling in all his favors. He is the one who plans on heading out in GX. Olba shows his brother Shaggy the Vulture's plan. Remember, the two are telepathically linked. Garrod sneaks into the hangar and fights with the kid. This happens to be the chief mechanic, Kid Salsa Mill. Salsa Mill? His name sounds delicious. Garrod was trying to sneak onto the Gundam. He asked Jamil to pilot after he learns of his cockpit phobia. While they are arguing, Olba fires on them and bursts out of the hangar in his mobile armor. He transforms into Gundam Ashtaron. The NRX 0015 Gundam Ashtaron is a transformable mobile suit developed by the Government Reconstruction Committee. It uses the trans system to transform from mobile armor to mobile suit. In mobile armor form, this can function as a subflight system for Gundam Versago. Its main weapon is a pair of atomic scissors, located in the backpack. This gives the unit 2 giant pincers that can slice a mobile suit in half. Other weapons include a beam saber, a nose beam cannon when in mobile armor form, a pair of machine cannons, and a beam spear. This can also attach an optional booster. Olba uses the scissors to punch a hole in the ship to take Tifa. He takes off. However, mobile suits approach. It is Olba's brother in Gundam Versago, along with some Datrices. Gundam Versago activates its megasonic cannon and fires. The ship takes evasive action. The Freedom is attacked. Joining the battle is Rosa in the Pyrenees-class ship, Rousseau in the Rocky-class ship, and finally Grits Joe in the Tenzin-class ship. They all launch their mobile suits, mainly composed of Octape Kais. The RMS 014G Octape Kai is a mass-produced mobile suit made by the SRA which surpasses the Genis and the Septum, and has great mobility. The Kai is the ground variant of the Octape, like other SRA mobile suits. This can hover over the ground. Weapons include 2 50mm Gatling cannons, a beam saber, a 100mm machine gun, a beam rifle, and a giant bazooka. Olba heads back to base while Shaggy handles business. Garrod still wants to go out in the Gundam. Jamil wants to know why he fights. He says that he is in love with Tifa. Jamil gives him the G controller. He launches and is instantly met with Shaggy. Gundam Versago takes down his shoulder Vulcans. Jamil thinks to himself, he was once like Garrod. Meanwhile, Witz hides his savings in a trash pile. That doesn't seem like a good place to hide your money. Olba drops off Tifa at Alternative and heads back to help his brother. The The Gundam's rifle is out of energy. That is when Shagia goes to town. As Garrod goes in to attack, Olba comes in and helps. He now has 2 opponents. The 2 Gundams work together, putting Garrod on the defensive. They constantly flank him. Gundam Asteron grabs Gundam X with scissors while Versago deals the final blow, but they are attacked. It is Wits and Roy Bea. Tifa wakes up to old creepy man Alternative. He knows she is a Newtype. The Alternative company receives a new mobile armor. It is the Grandine. The MA-06 Grandine is made by the Space Revolutionary Army for the war, but upgraded by the Alternative company since then. It utilizes a gun platform designed for long bombardment. Weapons include a long-range charged particle flare cannon and a 200mm anti-air beam gun. They charge the mobile armor and fire towards the battle, many kilometers away. Everyone spreads out. The only thing that is going to help them is the satellite cannon, which he told Garrod not to use. Jamil seems to have a Newtype connection with Tifa. He takes a tiny shuttle out to meet with Garrod and gets in the Gundam. Tifa is going to use Jamil as a remote beacon that will then activate the satellite cannon. Newtypes have all the 5G. Jamil tells Garrod to adjust his aim. The 2 brothers rush the Gundam, but Wits and Roy Bea come to the rescue. He has enough moon energy, and the Gundam fires the cannon. It gets a direct hit on the mobile armor and the base. Tifa is somehow the only one who survived this. Garrod hurt his butt. He takes Tifa back to the Freedom. The other Vultures depart. The nature of how Vultures work means the next time they meet, it may not be as friends. We meet Anil L. She goes on a mission to destroy a nuclear reactor in her Datras High Mobility Command Type and her High Mobility Squad. The DT-6800HM Datras High Mobility is a high mobility variant of the Datras which can hover off the ground. Although more mobile, its bulky legs limits its movement. Because of this, it can't really jump or run. It can just glide really fast. This can function on Earth and space with minor adjustments. This unit also has more armor than the standard Datras. Weapons include a beam saber and a 90mm machine gun. One team will use flamethrowers instead to melt mobile suit pilots from the inside. The DT-6800 HMC Datras High Mobility Command is a variant of the Datras High Mobility. This has a different head with enhanced sensors. Other than that, this is the same as the High Mobility variant. Weapons include a beam saber, a 90mm machine gun, and a beam rifle. A nuclear reactor goes off as their team flees. Anil also strips power plants of batteries and anything of value to sell. A man gives her another job. He wants her to take down Garrod and the Gundam. She stares at a picture of Garrod. Wait, I just noticed this dude has a fanny pack. Garrod wants Tifa to help track down other Newtypes. They have used Alternative's HQ and already saved Tifa from whatever Olba gave her. Garrod almost kills the entire crew while towing a Datras. He is upset everyone is giving him a hard time for making mistakes and runs off. Garrod goes out on his own to a power plant to find supplies. This isn't something that even the Vultures do. They leave this to specialists like Anil, who is currently spying on Garrod. The Freedom chases after GX. Jamil decides to launch in the Datras to save him. He is shaking as he hasn't piloted a mobile suit in some time. When GX makes it to the reactor, Anil and her team make their attack. As they fight, the nuclear meltdown begins. Garrod takes out a high-mobility Datras before going for Anil. Her reaction is fast. That is when Jamil grabs onto Garrod and tells him this area is dangerous. Better start running fast. The nuclear reactor goes off. Garrod fires the satellite cannon, using it as a propulsion system to outrun the nuclear blast. However, a piece of debris hits Jamil's cockpit. He is badly injured and needs surgery. Sayla slaps Garrod for everything he has done. The man and Anil are still trying to go after the Gundam. Garrod has made 2 mistakes and the crew don't think that he is suited to be a part of a team. With no one caring about him and Tifa ignoring him over Jamil, Garrod runs away with GX. A team that was tailing the Gundam finds Wits' gold supply buried under the ground. See, that was a terrible spot for all that gold. Wits finds the Datras taking his gold. He takes on all 3 mobile suits, but they run away. The Freedom sends out a flare. This is a call sign that they are hiring pilots. Roy Bea notices in the distance. Meanwhile, Anil heads out for the Gundam. A mechanic gives Roy Bea a discount for taking a picture with Gundam Leopard. After he leaves, Garrod and GX appears. He wants the mechanic to help him sell the Gundam. Anil has been informed that the Gundam has been put up for sale, and she follows the lead. Garrod starts the auction of the Gundam, but he sells the G-Controller separately. Anil comes in and offers 300 million for both the Gundam and the G-Controller. Garrod hides the Gundam until Anil could get funds to him in the morning. The two flirt with one another. Wits finally takes down the 3 mobile suits and gets his gold, but they called in reinforcements. His rifle is out of energy. This team happens to be the Flame Clock team, the one who I mentioned earlier that uses flamethrowers. They fire on Gundam Airmaster, trapping him. He tries to fly up, but he can't escape. Anil comes into Garrod's room. Ooh! Garrod was waiting for Anil. He points a gun at her. This just arouses her even more. Meanwhile, Wits and the Airmaster is feeling the heat. Missiles come raining down. It is a cargo jet. This distracts the Duchesses long enough for Wits to make his escape. The mobile suits are taken down, and the cargo jet happens to be the Frost brothers. Garrod wants to know Anil's true plan with the GX. She tries to smooth talk him, but he doesn't let his boner get the best of him. She is upset that she couldn't get the Gundam and takes it out on Wineman. Her sexual pride has been damaged. Airmaster and Leopard head back to the Frieden. Wits wants to stash his gold with them. They just want to know how he amassed so much money. Sayla scares away Tifa. The doctor, whose name is Tex Farzenberg, says that Sayla has resting bitch face and is scaring the crew as acting captain. Wits tells Tanya about the death of his younger brother, which is why he cherishes the picture of his family so much. Rebea flirts with Sayla, but she gets real with him and he stops playing real fast. This episode is just everyone contemplating. The doctor tells Tifa that being an adult sucks. The Frost twins visit the mechanic who takes photos of everyone. They see pictures of the Airmaster, which they happen to be keeping an eye on. The wine man that Anil is drinking with all the time is the captain of the Trieste-class ship, Zuccat Datanel. The Trieste-class ship is a grounded amphibious carrier. This has 2 large mobile suit hangars in the front of the ship and can carry 20 mobile suits. Weapons include 6 torpedo launchers, 7 missile launchers, and 8 140mm machine guns. Anil launches again. Kid Salsa Meal fixes up the Airmaster. Meanwhile, Garrod is being followed. Tifa can sense Anil's attack before it even happens. Leopard heads out to help. Garrod gets in a scuffle with the man tailing him and gets knocked out. The man wants to know where GX is. He is saved by the Frost twins. This is the first time Garrod has met Shagia. They say, let's go get some tea. Your treat, naturally. What dicks? Can't even pay for drinks. This time, it is Leopard that feels the fire. The Frost twins ask Garrod if he could pilot the Gundam for the rest of his life and be their mortal enemies. They've never lost a battle except with him. If he doesn't pilot the Gundam, they will constantly attack the Frieden. Unfortunately, someone beat them to the punch. The Airmaster scouts from the air and finds out that the Frieden is surrounded by flames. They are trapped. The Frost twins take off towards the Frieden, knowing Garrod will follow them. Also, the mechanic forgot to get a pic with the twins. Hey man, you're not making things easier here. The Frost twins take on Wits and Roybea. While they fight, Anil goes after the ship. Garrod finally joins the battle. He thinks about the time Sayla slapped him. Tifa is drawing her visions. Before Anil can destroy the Frieden, the Gundam moves in. GX, Leopard, and Airmaster are able to fend off the twins and Anil's team. Anil's team and the twins end up fighting. Jamil has finally awakened. He wants the Frieden crew to listen to Tifa's visions and to turn around. They find Sakat standing on top of his Trieste-class ship, where he cuts off the Frieden at the lake. Zakat begins his bombardment and sets the lake on fire. These guys really love fire. Sayla is hesitant, but follows the order of a little kid. The twins wasted their time and need to catch up to the Frieden. Garrod fights against Anil once again. Her Daughters melts GX's shield. Anil tells Garrod that she was so turned on when she shot at her face the other day. Lady, you got problems. Not as crazy as Lupe Chanel, though. Jamil uses Morse code to tell Garrod that he has to use the satellite cannon. They speed up quickly. Shaggy knows what's about to come, and he and his brother bail. Jamil shoots a flare in the direction of the moon. Garrod aims his satellite and absorbs all that 5G. He fires the cannon, taking out the Trieste-class ship and Zakat. The satellite cannon vaporizes the lake, causing rain to fall from the sky. While Jamil heals up, they want Ritz and Roybea to be main members of the crew, along with Garrod. Also, her name is Sara, which could be Sala or Sayla, but you know what? I think it's closer to Sarah, so I'm gonna call her Sarah from now on. Keep up. Tifa shows the crew her sweet drawing. She says this is where they need to go. Anil survived the satellite cannon. The team is finally formed and they are ready for their call to action. At Fort Severn, we are introduced to their leader, Karis Nautilus. He is a Newtype. He tells his people how Newtypes were exploited during the previous war. The leader refers to himself as a post-war Newtype who wants to help bring the world towards peace. It has been a week since Tifa drew the picture. They're heading towards Fort Severn to meet with their Newtype leader. Searching for Newtypes, the Frieden crew has to be ready to offer sanctuary, as well as be ready to fight them if necessary. Salsa Mill wants to upgrade the GX, but its satellite cannon is already superior, and Garrod doesn't see a reason to do so. The gang builds a rec room on the Frieden. Tifa and Garrod hang out, but she gets a little PTSD. Karis heads underground to find the mobile armor Battaglia. They're trying to activate it. They too are preparing for the Newtype on their way. Tifa has a dream of the Gundam being destroyed. Anil is making her way towards the Severn as well. Tifa informs Jamil of her dream, and everyone goes on standby. She tells Garrod that he shouldn't go into battle. They spot people on the mountains. These aren't people. These are Jirocted? Hold on, let's think this one through. It's Judagu in Japanese, so it's probably Jirogd. They're showing off their sweet snowboarding skills. The RMS 007G Jirogd Cold Climate Type is a variant of the Jirogd made by the SBA and used by Fort Severn. This is nicknamed the Polar Bear. All the joints and drive systems are reinforced for cold weather. Its key feature is a snowboard booster called the Sledge. This gives the Polar Bear increased speed and maneuverability in snowy terrain. Weapons include a 100mm machine gun, a beam machine gun, and a beam saber. Garrod says he wants to overcome Tifa's vision. He heads out against her wishes. The Polar Bears have the advantage. These units are super unique. Too bad none of the pilots are the main character. Tifa says something is coming. It is Karis in his Vertigo. The RMSN 008 Vertigo is a Newtype used mobile suit made by the SPA. Everything in this unit is balanced, perfectly allowing it high mobility without offsetting the balance. The key weapon of this unit is the bit system. It utilizes 12 bits with the help of the flash system, 6 in each arm. A mono eye in the chest activates when the bits are used. This also has a flight mode. Other weapons include a machine cannon, a beam rifle in each forearm, and a beam saber. Garrod attacks Karis. He says he is looking for a new type and to not interfere. He unleashes his bits. Garrod is overwhelmed. The bits attack the Freedom, removing any chance of covering fire. Wits and Roy help out as well. Garrod understands the true power of a new type. The bits bombard GX. Airmaster and Leopard try to help, but the bits are too much. Is this the end for Garrod? Vertigo stabs at the GX but stops short. Karis leaves it in the hands of Tifa. She decides to go with Karis. While Garrod is in the medbay, Salsamil uses this opportunity to make upgrades on his Gundam. The people of Fort Severn treat Karis like a hero. Karis is also collecting new types. Everyone heads to the rec room to have their emotional conversations now. This is Friends. You're such a Chandler. Salsamil and Dr. Tex helps Jamil get over his fear of mobile suits. The man helping Karis is called Namoa Long. He went by another name before the war. He doesn't want Karis interacting with the other new type. The Frost twins are working with the new UNE, who is trying to establish a new government. They know they are collecting new types. They are going to allow the Freedom to collect as many as possible, and when the time is right, they will take them off their hands. The mechanics are overworked. As the twins approach the Freedom, Jamil and Garrod are nowhere to be found. The two go for a little drive. Jamil doesn't give him a real slap. He gives him a metaphorical one by calling him pathetic and weak. Sarah already gave him a real slap anyways. Ritz and Roy head out to protect the Freedom. Jamil asks for the G-controller. He throws it on thin ice and tells Garrod to get it. This doesn't seem to be the time to be teaching this lesson. Jamil pieces out and leaves Garrod to fend for himself. The ship is grazed by a beam blast. Once again, Airmaster and Leopard are struggling to hold their own. Garrod grabs the stupid controller and runs from the breaking ice. Jamil returns and says, "Congratulations, you learned your lesson." It's a metaphor about not thinking and acting quickly or some shit? I don't know. Wits and Roy almost died so Garrod could learn this. Garrod finally gets into the upgraded Gundam. This is the X Divider. The GX 9900 DV Gundam X Divider is the upgraded version of Gundam X. After its encounter with the Vertigo, it was impossible for Kid Salsamil to get the Gundam to its original configuration, so he used salvaged parts. It has an all-new backpack with 2 large beam swords and boosters for extended flight time. The satellite cannon is no more and replaced with the Divider, a shield made by Kid from a salvaged battleship. The shield splits open, revealing 6 triple beam cannons, which is called the Harmonica Cannon. The Divider also has boosters to function as a mini subflight system. The shield is attached to the backpack and used in its flight mode. This will eventually be piloted by Jamil. Other weapons include a beam machine gun, breast Vulcans, a hyper bazooka, and modified warship missiles in the waist. The Gundam attacks the Frost twins. Garrod makes it to the battlefield to help with Wits and Roy. He rushes in to use Divider for the first time, but ends up tripping. Kid tells Garrod to use the Divider. He rides the shield and gets a direct hit on both Shagia and Orba. They didn't expect this upgrade from GX, so they decide to retreat for now. But Orba's Prido can't handle it. Garrod uses the Harmonica Cannon. Shagia pushes Orba out of the way and his Versago is hit. Asteron grabs Versago and they bail. Karis tests Tifa's brainwaves and are amazed. Garrod is running simulations. The girls hear rumors of Vulture interference and think it is media manipulation. 3 days have passed as Garrod continues with the simulator. While relaxing, Bro is clenching his teeth and fists like he did too much cocaine. He just can't handle not living up to the power of a Newtype. They see Tifa in the newspaper, and Garrod runs off in a buggy. Jamil lets him go. He thinks he now knows his limitations, and Neil wants to meet with Mayor Namoa of Fort 7. She delivers her a picture which causes him to summon her immediately. Meanwhile, Garrod is sneaking into Fort 7 to find Tifa. Monocle Man meets with Anil. The photo is of him, another man, and a mobile suit. The other man is named Narda L, Anil's father. The mayor feels indebted to her for her father. She tells him she wants the GX pilot, and Neil wants to see their secret project. He takes her to see the Patulia. This was used in Operation Lilac during the 7th Space War. In the last months of the war, the Patulia along with Bertigos did a drop mission down to Earth to destroy the UNE headquarters. The Bertigos didn't even make it to Earth, and the Patulia crash-landed on Earth's surface. Anil's father believed that this operation was successful. The war would have ended without the colony drop. Her father was murdered post-war when they found out he was a former SRA officer. Garrod is spying on the two. He calls Anil Miss Sexy. We learn that Karis is an artificial Newtype, made by Namoa. Namoa spots Garrod and tries to shoot him. Suddenly Orba approaches the Freedin. Garrod busts out Tifa only to find Karis holding her captive. He tells Karis that he isn't a Newtype, but he was created in a lab by Namoa. He says yes, it was his idea to turn himself into an artificial Newtype. He wants absolute power. They went through a lot of children to figure it out, but he is a product of testing. He actually thinks that Newtypes can't be born on Earth, but Tifa is proof that he is wrong. Soldiers come in and take Garrod prisoner. During an explosion, Garrod and Tifa bail. They tell Karis to come with him, but he hesitates. Quick, hurry, that sexy one is trying to shoot you. Jamil is finally able to get into GX. Kid and the doctor were able to help him with his fears. Leopard Gundam gets a hit on Orba. Karis and the Vertigo attack GX, but Jamil takes out its bits no problem. Suddenly, Karis snaps. It is synapse syndrome, which is agony and a feeling of dying. It is a side effect of being an artificial Newtype. He decides to head back to Fort 7, even though Shagia is unconscious in the medbay. He communicates with Orba and tells him to withdraw. Karis is put in a pod. Namoa mentions synapse syndrome only happens once a month. Contact with Tifa is most likely what caused this. Namoa tells Karis that they have to eliminate the Vultures, but he wants to know about real Newtypes. He knows this is why Namoa was keeping Tifa from him. Karis goes on patrol and reflects, but decides to find the Freedin. He is looking for Garrod. He goes out in GX. We got ourselves a snow battle. He wants to try to save Karis if possible. The Vertigo uses its bits, putting Garrod on the defensive. He isn't going to lose this time. The Gundam takes out the bits one by one. The Divider blocks and attacks. Karis stands around doing nothing but saying how I am losing. I don't know, maybe don't stand around. They clash with their beam sabers. The snowstorm makes it hard to see. Garrod takes out the Vertigo. Karis pulls out a gun, waiting for Garrod to open up the hatch, but he empties the chamber. Garrod sees this and shoots with the real bullets. He is surprised when bullets do their job properly. The doctor is able to save Karis from his injury, just as Karis falls back into the hands of the Freedin crew. Namoa has finally got the Patulia up and running, and Neil will bring Karis back. Karis tries to escape from the Freedin. Tifa joins Garrod as they chase. The artificial Newtype tries to live out the male fantasy of bleeding out in the snow. Garrod tells him that he doesn't have to fight anymore. Tifa spots enemies approaching. It is Anil and a team of Jirac cold climate types. Anil does a sweet frontside 180 and then shoots Garrod's buggy. She takes Karis, then tries to take Garrod, but Leopard and Airmaster come in to help. They try to pincer Witz and Roy. Karis is put back in the pod. They use the boy to power up Patulia. The Man 003 Patulia is a Newtype used mobile armor used by SRA during the war, specifically for Operation Lilac. This requires the pilot to be connected to a Newtype pod. Its cruiser mode is for general movement, while its attack mode splits the nose section into two, exposing the wired beam cannons. There are 32 wired beam cannons, and they can be used only in attack mode. This overwhelms the enemy with sheer numbers. 2 charged particle cannons are also located in the torso and the hips of the unit. Namoa has been waiting 15 long years to continue Operation Lilac. The Patulia begins attacking Fort 7. Namoa says, "Surprise! I hate Earth and I want you all to die." There had to be signs over these past 15 years. Karis doesn't want to be in this pod piloting the mobile armor. Garrod, Witz, and Roy move in. The bits are too much for them. Tifa could hear the voice of Karis. He feels like his mind is slipping away. Fighting isn't going to work. Garrod tries to talk to him and convince him to stop fighting. He stops for a moment only to attack again. Luckily, Jamil in the Vertigo saves Garrod. This is my mobile suit now. Also, Anil and Nemoa are on board the Petulia with Karis in his pod. GX fires the harmonica cannon and makes a hole for him to fly into. Nemoa goes insane and tries to kill Anil. She flees while Garrod grabs Karis' pod. Without the Newtype, Petulia falls out of the sky. The Frost twins watch. They too are looking for Newtypes, but have no use with artificial ones. One thing that Orba brings up in this moment is that their type of Newtype power doesn't work with the Flash system. Karis decides to return to Fort 7 and help rebuild to atone for his sins. Roy and Wits are given some time off and to take leave from the Freedom. The two go their separate ways on different adventures. Roy goes to hand out roses to all his bitches. He keeps their number just in case, but he's a man who will never commit. Meanwhile, Wits is visiting the grave of his father. He says, check out my gold. He runs into his younger sisters, Cordell and Saela. While traveling through town, they run into a Dotris tank. The DT-6800 Dotris tank is a restored Dotris top with a tank bottom. This was restored using junk parts by the Vultures and wasn't created by the UNE. It is equipped with 2 5-barrel Gatling guns. The town chipped in to buy it for the community. He finally visits his mother and brother. His mother doesn't want him to use mobile suits because it is how his father died. The family isn't telling Wits something, but he's also not telling him that he's a mobile suit pilot as well, or mobile suit rider. Meanwhile, Roy is breaking hearts left and right. He is finished. Now it's time for him to celebrate. Wits can tell that something is fishy with his family. He learns that his mom remarried and they have a new father. He heads to the bar where the bartender says, surprise, I'm your new daddy. The town is attacked by vultures. They take out their Dotris tank. What a waste of money that was. Roy visits a grave. It seems to be the woman he cares most about. Homeboy pours one out for her. She seems to be the one who gave him Leopard Gundam. This will be the last time he visits, he says. Airmaster attacks the vultures while a violin plays in the background. The score of this episode gets really avant-garde, and I don't think that was intentional. Wits gets the vultures to retreat. He gives his mom the gold without saying goodbye. Wits and Roy meet back up before returning to the Freedom. Tifa hears someone calling her, then suddenly lights emit. This was all a dream. She wakes up and paints what she saw. The Freedom crew are getting their hands on some Dotrises. So you're telling me they have full catering lunch every day? They mention Wits and Roy go out to eat every day. So someone is doing catering on the daily. I bet it's Shingo. The adults tease Garrod, wondering if he is making progress with Tifa. Roy gets serious and tells Garrod to act before it's too late. Garrod walks into Tifa's room to find her passed out. She wakes up and tells the crew to head to San Lucas Coast. Roy gives everyone bathing suits as gifts. He says they are doing a beach episode. He says he doesn't know if he got the measurements right though. But he did because he knows. He knows. Jamil tells them not to go into the ocean and to watch out for orcs. There are those who make homes on the oceans and become sea vultures. Life has evolved on the seas post-war, but they too struggle from terrorists, which they label orcs. Kid Salsamil is making sure GX could be used in the water. It's time for some beach. Tanya tells Garrod to check out my butt while everyone is having a good time. Tifa takes a boat out on her own. GX and Airmaster chase her as she heads directly towards some orcs. Shortest beach episode ever. They are under command of Doza Bale in the Sea Castle. The Sea Castle is an airship for Doza Bale's orc fleet. This is powered by the D-Navi system, which is a Newtype system which harvests Newtype powers from dolphins. The ship will eventually be destroyed by a dolphin. It has 2 twin cannons and what appears to be 1 giant megaparticle cannon. He launches a team of Dosseets. The DTM 7000 Dosseet is one of the first UNE mobile suits designed to combat SRA. This has extended arms which helps grab enemies. It could work in both sea and land. This unit has a torpedo launcher and a beam gun. It also utilizes the D-Navi radar system. They attack the Freedom team. The Dosseet grabs GX while another fires its torpedoes. But they never expected dolphins to come in and save the day. They use echolocation to mess with their torpedoes. GX grabs Tifa and gets them out of there. Later, Garrod sees Tifa talking to dolphins. She gets naked and swims with the dolphins. Garrod gets a few peeks in. Their leader, a white dolphin, shows itself. This is the Newtype she was seeing in her visions. Bet you weren't expecting a Newtype dolphin. Suddenly a beam emits from the moon. Someone else is using the satellite system. After seeing the satellite laser, Tifa continues talking to the dolphins. The white dolphin hates humans and leaves with its school? Hold on, let me look this up. Pod. Pod of dolphins. It's a pod. Garrod tells Jamil and the Freedom crew that he saw the white dolphin, and now has to admit that he was creeping on Tifa. There may be a Newtype using a flash system somewhere close by. The Freedom continues through the Pacific. Things are lawless out in the oceans. I mean, things are pretty lawless on the land. Dorza wants to get his hands on the Gundam. Also, bro has a tiny skull on his necklace. What tiny animal is that? He wants to show that he is the toughest on the sea. They have D-Navi systems. so they could easily barter for a Gundam type. But this is about pride. He wants GX. The Freedom meets with the Sea Vultures for supplies. One of their suppliers tells them stories of the D-V system. The orcs take dolphin brains to mechanize echolocation to Newtype levels. They occasionally go to town on pods of dolphins. It's a bloodbath. The man also mentions the white dolphin. It is something different. The white dolphin is trying to save its fellow dolphin. Its new type powers can easily mess with torpedoes. Garrod mentions that Tifa could talk to dolphins. He once again has to come to terms with his creeping. Tifa comes in and tells them that the white dolphin is currently fighting for its life. The Freedom goes to help the dolphin. GX and Airmaster launch. The white dolphin is watching, thinking, maybe these humans aren't too bad. GX gets bodied by torpedoes from Dowseats. Get it together, Garrod. The Dowseats split into two. Some attack Airmaster on land. Get it together, wits. The pew-pews are abundant. The orcs are catching up to the Freedom. Suddenly, the white dolphin comes in the middle of the battle. He says, bro, I got this. The white dolphin uses Newtype echolocation to fry out the D-V system. You know, a friend wanted to hang out. I said, nah, man. I have to make a video about magic dolphins. What a life. The orcs slow down and the Freedom is able to lose them. Roy comes in with his S1 equipment late to the game. They begin taking out orc ships as they are dead in the water. Witz does the final blow on Dorza's sea castle. The white dolphin strikes a pose and gives them a motivational speech. Thanks to a dolphin, I continue to have the will to live. Thanks, dolphin. Do it, Garrod. Do it. Ah, you tease. An operation was conducted by Newtype Labs in secret called Operation L. This didn't happen, but might have changed the outcome of war. It lays dormant underwater. A group of orcs are led by a man named Marcus Guy. They conduct raids using Dowseat 3s. The DTM 7200 Dowseat 3 is a variant of the Dowseat with additional beam guns in the hands. The arms extend further than the original Dowseat. This has improved hydrojet engines, which makes the unit faster in the water, but slower on land. This also has the D-V system. Additional weapons include torpedo launchers. While Marcus is in the middle of a mission, Orba and Astron grabs him. He says he has a job for him. The Freedom was in the middle of accepting shipment. They have to continue transfer. Tifa wants to help the team out. The doc says this is good for her. She is opening up. One guy creeps on Tifa. But it is a very awkward excuse to bring up the Sea of Lorelei. Female ghosts are said to haunt the seas. Orba and Marka are pursuing underwater in the Polypamos. It has torpedo launchers, and it is a sub. Listen, not all breakdowns are elaborate. Sometimes a sub is just a sub. Everyone hangs out in the lounge talking about the Sea of Lorelei. It's based off an old story about sirens and the Rhine River. Kid scares everyone. Has the captain felt loved before? It seems like he has, but he will never tell. Orba and Marcus find GX bits underwater. The FX 9900 GX bit is a mass production unmanned satellite system loading mobile bit that can be used by GX and the Flash system. This is designed to be controlled by new types, and up to 12 can be controlled at once. This looks like GX and has the same satellite cannon, beam sword, and shield buster rifle. 12 bits could work together to form a long-range attack. They also find Operation L and a girl in a pod. There is no data on it. Also, Shagia is just hanging out on a bluff. Get a hobby, you dork. Tifa could sense when the orcs opened the pod. While looking at a picture of his lost lover, Jamil is told by Tifa to change course towards the Sea of Lorelei. Roy sounds like he wants to have sex with a ghost. Tifa begins communicating with the pod girl. She says she is going to let pod girl take over her body for a little bit. Don't be afraid. That is when the orcs attack. Roy and Garrod head underwater while Witz guards the air. GX attacks Dowseat 3s. Tifa comes on the bridge acting weird. Jamil lets the doctor see this behavior. Garrod is letting his guard down, letting a shot get to the surface. Orba in Astron makes his appearance. He pushed too far and fell into Orba's trap. They fire torpedoes on the Freedom. Tifa says it's okay guys, check this out. Pod Lady activates. The torpedoes and the Gundams are frozen on the battlefield. Tifa glows. She is not Tifa. She is Lutil Lylant. This was Jamil's long-lost love. She passes out. The mobile suits are free of its spell. The Polypamos ascends to the surface. Shagia tells Orba not to sink the Freedom and to meet up with him. He retreats. Who are all these random men on board ready and waiting to weld? There's a magical crew that does most of the real work behind the scenes. Jamil tells the crew about Lutil and how her psyche was destroyed by the end of the war. Tifa, as Lutil, wakes up and tells Jamil that she is inside of the L system. She doesn't want to be used anymore. They decide to go and free her. Sarah talks to Jamil but purposely leaves the door open for Garrod to overhear. In doing so, he gives the G controller to Jamil and thinks that he should go out in the GX to save Lutil. Roy yells at Sarah. Then he tells her about his long-lost love. You know, the girl from the graveyard. The dead one. Jamil and Roy head out and begin their assault on the Polypemos. Orba tries to cut off amplifying Newtype waves. From the distance is a giant UNE fleet. This fleet is under control of Amzat Cartrel of the new UNE. From a UNE aircraft carrier called the Duridia launches Dotris Flyers. The DT-6800F Dotris Flyer is an aerial combat variant of the Dotris. It is equipped with the backpack that allows it to fly under Earth's gravity. This turns this unit into an aerial attack mobile suit. It is more versatile than your standard Dotris. Weapons include a 90mm machine gun, a beam saber, and a shield. GX continues skating on the water, taking out Dalseeds. Orba got the UNE to pack him up. The Freedom continues pursuing. The UNE fleet goes boom 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 boom. Orba and Shagia join the battle. Jamil keeps rushing forward. Lutil doesn't want the Freedom to die for her. The L system can work as a flash system. The two sync Newtype thoughts and are able to activate the captured GX bits on the Polypemos. They use the bits to take control of the battlefield. Remember, the bits are on the level of GX. They watch in amazement. Jamil, with the help of Lutil, is able to fend off the fleet. But after the battle, Jamil says they don't need these machines and destroys all of the GX bits. They were able to save the L system and Lutil. Lutil says, "Thanks for saving me, but I used the last of my power and I'm about to die. Put me back in the sea." Blech. What a waste of time that was. Well, her soul is free at least. Lutil leaves Tifa's body and passes away. They bury her in the ocean. Jamil wants to be alone as he lost the woman he loves. Anil is checking out the new Esperanza. The DTM 700D Esperanza is made by arms dealer Lumark Kauto and made using salvaged junk parts. This has strong acceleration but lacks firepower. It only has 2 beam guns and 2 machine cannons. She doesn't seem too interested in the mobile armor. The Saiyans Island survived the colony drop. They also avoided vultures and orcs, as well as have energy plants, making this one of the few booming cities on Earth. A man named Miles is simping hard for Anil, a girl with a past. Oh, poor guy. Miles also is the one who meets with the Freedom at the Saiyans Island port. This is the first time they've been on land for some time. Tanya runs errands when she runs into Anil. The two have lunch and talk about boys. Anil is talking about a boy who got away. Anil is talking about Garrod, which is interesting. But why is her and Tanya friendly? Aren't they supposed to be enemies? Garrod's going for it. Aw, he couldn't commit again. Anil gave Tanya a dress, and she is rocking it. Witz looks at Tanya, and Roy looks at Witz. I feel like Witz and Roy are a single package. She goes to meet with Anil again, who tell her about Miles. I want these two to do stuff together. Tanya tells her to come with her. You think Garrod and Tifa are about to give away Tanya's identity, but it's a fake out. Miles comes into the restaurant where he recognizes Tanya as a Freedom crew member. Apparently Anil doesn't know because the sound of the Freedom makes her run away. Tanya tells Garrod about Anil, and he instantly recognizes who she is talking about. Anil decides to buy the Esperanza from earlier. It approaches the Freedom and says, "Come at me, bro." But Tanya comes on the comms, and she decides to back down. Anil has found herself back on the battlefield. With all the chaos going down in the series, the world is actually starting to stabilize and independent nations are beginning to form post-war. The total world population currently is 98 million. A new UNE is formed from the old UNE High Command, as well as some industrialists. AIMSAT is looking over designs for the new XX Gundam. The Freedom crew are around the location of where they saw the satellite laser go off. They are no longer fighting orcs or vultures. This is organized. This is the military. Meanwhile, the new UNE are discussing many nations coming together, and they are waiting for Asia to unify, but there is much resistance. They also want to send aid to Australia because they were affected the most during the colony drop. Get wrecked in every Gundam universe, Australia. AIMSAT is too focused on new types, but there is more to building the new UNE according to the other higher-ups than just new types. AIMSAT seems to be the outcast here. Orba and Shagia's shuttle lands at Zonda Epta, a top-secret artificial island. The two are working specifically for AIMSAT's faction. The brothers are being placed under command of Katak Azamil. Shagia tests him, but he is quicker to the trigger. Ha ha ha, I'm pretty sure this breaks protocol on every military, but I'm glad you're on your feet. Katak's record shows resistance to authority. The two brothers look up at the Valiant. Something tells me this should have been translated to the Valiant, but whatever. The NR-001 Valiant is the first mass-produced mobile suit post-war and made by new UNE. This will become the standard for the new army. This is superior to the Dotris and is capable of flight and aerial combat. Weapons include a pair of missiles in each forearm, a beam rifle, and 2 beam sabers. The two brothers are considering abandoning AIMSAT's faction. It depends on how this next operation goes. Katak and his men are disguised as
this fisherman. He's practicing his lines and not nailing it. Time to get the smell of fish on you. They send out a distress signal to the Frieden and they take the bait. However, Tifa can sense that something is up. They help them out and lead them to a room on the Frieden, but it is a trap. Garrod says, "You idiot, we knew this was a trap. Your line read was terrible." It was actually Tifa who set this up. Tifa warns them that the enemy is coming. They have to prep their mobile suits. While distracted, Katak's team runs away. The Frost Bros come in and attack the ship. They are joined by a fleet of Valiants. The doctor says, "I always stay strapped." Is that a Browning High Power Mark III? Jamil chases the prisoners while Garrod and Roy handles business. You know, I think his name actually translates to Roby, but it's too late. He's Roy now. Katak's men escape, but he wants to suicide so he could be with his family. The Frost Bros notice that Katak's team fail. They take down Gundam Airmaster's wing and then bail. A new Uni pilot in the Valiant stops them from retreating, so Shagia kills him. Tifa says, "You aren't dying on my watch." She saves Katak from killing himself, and they take him prisoner. Anil stumbles onto Zonda Epta and spots a new Gundam. Jamil interrogates Katak, but he doesn't want to give up anything. No candy until you speak up. He has a strong hatred for Newtypes, especially Jamil. Anil is on the run. The Frost Brothers must kill her for stumbling onto the top-secret Gundam. They begin their attack. Meanwhile, angry man who lost his family during the war cliché is playing out. Kid tells the team that once a Newtype activates the satellite cannon, anyone could use it. It's just the initial activation that requires a Newtype, before they are able to strike down Anil. Garrod comes in to help. The brothers once again retreat. The Frieden crew swiftly saves Anil. Roy thinks that girl that almost died over there is really cute. Focus. Tanya is by Anil's side. She tells him of the island and the Gundam. The Frieden head towards Zonda Epta. Katak tells Jamil about his wife and child, and why he hates all Newtypes. It was because Jamil was a part of the GX team that made the first move during the colony drop operation. His wife and child were on one of the colonies. Unlike Universal Century, they didn't gas their citizens first, I guess. But hold on tight, you're going for a ride. We will learn this is actually a lie. Katak's failure shows the higher-ups the need to focus on Newtypes. The Frost Brothers stay with AIMSAT for now. They note the Frieden is approaching them and prep for battle. Garrod, Witz, and Roy talk tactics regarding the new Valiant. The Gundam boys launch and take on Valiants and the Frost Bros. Katak breaks out of his cell once again. GX is able to take on both Frost Bros at the same time. Katak takes control of the Frieden's bridge. He forces the ship to get within firing range of Zonda Epta. Katak tells them of the new XX. This is built off of Jamil's old GX unit during the war. They have a visual on the island. All units fall back as the satellite cannon is activated on XX. The GX-9901 DX Gundam XX, or DX, uses Jamil's GX from the 7th War to power this new unit. This has an upgraded satellite system called the Satellite System Mark II. Radiator fins are added on the limbs to improve cooling and increase microwave energy absorption. It has a larger 6-panel reflector unit. Weapons include 2 small head Vulcans, 4 breast launchers, a buster rifle, a lightweight defense plate on the arm made of Luna titanium, a hyper beam sword, a twin beam sword, a beam javelin, the G-hammer, and a rocket launcher gun. It aims the satellite cannon at the Frieden. AIMSAT is bluffing. DX isn't ready and can't fire, but they know Jamil is burdened by the past and won't risk making the same mistake twice. He surrenders. Tifa comes in and shows Katak a sketch of his family. "Fear my new type powers, non-believer!" They conveniently take all the background characters to prison while the main characters get to stick around. How did the UNE know? They begin beating up Garrod in typical Wong fashion. Katak punches him in the face. Garrod has another adults know nothing moment that happens in all Gundam. The new UNE move up their announcement of their existence to the world, which means AIMSAT should do absolutely nothing. They mention a Lord Bloodman, which shuts him up. The Doctor and Anil are planning a breakout, which is separate from Garrod and the others' breakout. Everyone's having a breakout. Theirs involve going in vents. Why are the vents always clean? They should be dirty. Meanwhile, Jamil and Tifa get the first-class treatment. Katak walks in and says, "This is my coffee, little girl." He rethinks his opinion on Newtypes after witnessing Tifa. Anil works behind everyone's back with AIMSAT, but she at least tries to protect Tanya. AIMSAT is planning on ignoring committee orders and contacting Newtype labs on his own. Garrod and the boys are making their escape. They head to the hangar where everything is gone. Anil gets played by AIMSAT. What'd you expect? This is why you and Tanya will never go full lesbian. Roy says, "I got this rocket launcher." A grown man gets beat up and bullied by Garrod. He's just a kid, get it together. The man tells him where Tifa is. He finds out that AIMSAT and his team are bailing from Zonda Epta with Jamil and Tifa as prisoner. He's too late. Katak knows they are heading to Newtype labs and decides to help Garrod. They catch up to the ship, but Orba runs defense. Their ship is destroyed and their Gundams fall to the ocean. Their only option now is to board AIMSAT's ship and steal XX. Garrod doesn't hesitate. Wits and Roy are still fighting on the AIMSAT ship. Anil apologizes to the doctor by showing her tits, but she has a flashbang hidden in between those babies. She throws it and her and the doctor escape. Tifa can sense what everyone is doing, but she just says the future looks bright. You want to tell Jamil what you're sensing, or are you just going to say vague hippie nonsense? Jamil does a Chuck Norris level roundhouse kick. AIMSAT's people are starting to lose control. The Frost brothers are just watching and thinking it is time for their second phase of their plan. These ships are so roomy they could fit armored vehicles in them with ease. Garrod spots DX, but there are snipers watching above. Katak uses Garrod as bait to take out the snipers. Kid, distract him with your body. It allows Garrod to get into Double X, but he doesn't have the G controller for this unit. Luckily, that's what Jamil and Tifa were up to. They were doing side quests off screen. The Frost brothers are waiting to see who takes the DX before making their move. Jamil comes in with the G controller. Men shoot at Tifa, but Katak protects her and takes some bullets. Katak tells Garrod to not let the last generation's war control his life before dying. Garrod gets into DX. Eat Vulcans, suckers! They head back to the Freedom but are chased by Balians. Garrod goes full berserker and tears through them with ease. Shaggy and Orba don't do a damn thing. An even bigger fleet comes in. It is the Far East Army with the help of General Staff HQ. Whoops, you probably shouldn't have disobeyed orders. The Frost Bros take control of AIMSAT's ship. Garrod activates the satellite cannon, but he remembers Katak's words. Instead of taking out the fleet, he destroys Zonda Epta. He ended the battle without having to fight anyone. There had to be so many people left on that island, though. We're just gonna ignore that? We're just gonna ignore it, okay. Meanwhile, Bloodman gives a speech to the world. They want a future that isn't driven by Newtypes. Everything seems to be going to the Frost Brothers' plans. The Freedom crew honors Katak, who can finally be with his family. After the new UNE's announcement, conflict breaks out throughout the world, specifically in Southeast Asia. Garrod wonders if firing the satellite cannon was wise. No, you definitely killed some people. The Freedom is attacked. They realize they are going through a minefield. Flying above them is President Willis Aramis of Estardo and his military advisors. He's president of the marching band nation, apparently. The parade's not today, get out of here. They spot the Freedom taking out their mines. One of his aides, named Lucas, tells him that this is the Freedom. Perhaps they could help with their new UNE problem. Estardo is a small independent nation of 10,000. They are working with adjacent nations to fight against the new UNE forces. They want the Freedom to help out in a joint operation. The president is green and many around him are trying to influence his decision. The doc is checking out Anil's boobs once again. I get it. Tanya asked Anil to join the crew, but she is hesitant. Tifa gets a Newtype braingasm. The sirens go off in the city. Jamil and those at the meeting have to take shelter. Alright, let's destabilize this bitch. After witnessing some carpet bombings, they decide to help Estardo. They plan a counteroffensive on a nearby base. General Band Leader is certain that this is possible with the help of the Freedom crew. Estardo is working with the neighboring nations, Gestar and Northern Bell. Garrod goes to see Tifa. The subtitles say, "I wanted to see you," but he actually says, "I wanted to see your face." Show me your face, Tifa! Show me your face. Garrod launches in Double X. The nation of Estardo has two mobile suits, the Pyron and the Estardoth. The ENG-002 Pyron is used by the nation of Estardo, Gestar, and Northern Bell. This doesn't have any beam weapons and are inferior to the new UNE forces. Weapons include a machine cannon, a 70mm machine gun, and an optional tripod-mounted large machine gun. The ENG-001 Estardoth is considered old and weak in AW-15. This only has two chest-mounted machine cannons. Although weak, it is shown to take out a Dautris. Garrod moves in towards the base while the Frost brothers sneak behind. Something doesn't seem right to Jamil. They notice that mobile suits are hiding in the trenches and flanking the Freedom. Before Garrod can attack the base, he runs into the Frost brothers. They take out all the Pyrons. Wits takes on the Gadil. The NRMA-006 Gadil is a high-mobility mobile armor created by the new UNE. This has low air resistance. It has head sensors attached as well. Only 30 of these units were made, and the new UNE decided to mass-produce the Valiant instead. Its only weapon is a beam rifle that doubles as a beam saber. Wits is struggling to keep up with the two fighters. He eventually gets a shot on one and punches the other one in the face. Did you specifically choose to give this fighter a head just so Wits could punch it in the face? I respect that. After shaking Shagia, Garrod finally activates the satellite cannon and takes out the new UNE base. This attack was carried out by Romanov's faction within the new UNE. The Frost Bros saw him failing earlier and bailed before things got bad. Meanwhile, Anil is healed, but she decides to leave the Freedom crew. The next few episodes are the Frost Bros hiring a villain of the week to take down Garrod. They meet with Damar Grief, known as the White Death. They show him the Coral. Corel? Coral? The NRX-007 Corel is a high-mobility close combat unit developed by the new UNE. This doesn't have any excess weight, and its only weapon is a beam knife. This is light enough to jump on buildings without crushing them. However, due to the light armor, this unit is relatively weak. The Freedom crew are being honored at Astardo. Meanwhile, Anil returns to Sane's Island. Some are pushing the president for another assault. Roy is out of here. He doesn't want to be involved in this war. One of the president's aides wants Roy to convince him of peace. We learn that the three nations are looking for an excuse to fight one another. Roy refuses. General Bandleader says to the team, "Hey, want some upgrades?" Witz takes him up on the offer. His airmaster could barely keep up with those new units. The president and Garrod relate to one another for being seen as dumb kids by the adults in their life. Shagia wants to take control of Northern Bell and force them to sign a treaty. Astardo, Gastar, and Northern Bell once experienced some race wars in the past. Shagia says let's pour some gas on those flames. Witz shows off his new Airmaster Burst. The GW9800B Gundam Airmaster Burst is the upgraded Airmaster which has improved mobility. The unit no longer retains the shoulder missiles and now opts for a missile rifle. It can also dock with part of the G-Falcon. This has the flash system and the trans system. Weapons include head Vulcans, a nose beam cannon, a booster beam cannon on each wing, and a buster rifle. Uh-oh, Tifa has another bad feeling. That means people are about to die. The new UNE begins their attack on Northern Bell. Gastar and Astardo mobilize troops to help. Witz and Garrod help with their operation while the Freedom gets repairs. They try to drive the new UNE out of the city. Shagia lures Garrod into a trap to face off with Damar and the Corel. The mobile suit is fast and it does hit and run attacks on DX. Garrod can't get a hit on him. He uses the beam rifle to block an attack. This catches the Corel off guard. GX unleashes Vulcans and takes out Corel. Damn, that armor really was that flimsy. They learn that Northern Bell has fallen. They failed at helping them. Meanwhile, Roy says, "I'm gonna hook up with this piano lady." The piano lady that Roy hooks up with is strapped. She mentions that this area used to be a part of Astardo, but has fallen into turmoil since it has been occupied by the new UNE. Seems that most people refer to the new UNE as Noon, but that just isn't intimidating. Oh no, we're getting attacked by Noon! Piano Lady seems to be working for the local resistance. Astardo and Gastar did a little ethnic cleansing back in the day. Having Northern Bell in between the two has improved relations. Now that Northern Bell has fallen to new UNE, conflict may arise once again. You don't have to conquer a territory, you just have to sow chaos within the area, make it unstable, and come in and claim said territory. This is a relatively standard military practice called subversion. Sarah worries about Roy. Anil is watching as Sane's Island is now occupied by new UNE. She learns that Miles, that sucker that proposed to Anil, is now dead. She seems to be running away from fighting, which is why she probably left the Freedom. Unfortunately, tragedy draws her back into the war. Tifa does a little creeping and cleaning. On the outskirts of the three nations, a man kills his comrades in a Britova. The NRX-011 Britova is a long-range mobile suit converted from a rear support mobile suit and created by the new UNE. Its main weapon is the heat wire in the right forearm. Other weapons include 2 micro-missile launchers in the shoulders. This is piloted by Duet Langraf. The Frost Bros convince him to take down Garrod. He seems to have 2 personalities, and we are seeing the nice one. The gang learns that Gastar has sided with the new UNE. They would rather side with the new UNE than let a slightly different race defeat them. General Bandleader wants to fight while the others believe that Astardo should surrender. Lux steps in and says that they must surrender, but General Bandleader goes rogue. Some would say he's not getting the band back together. Garrod and Witz launch to stop the general. Duet's evil personality comes out. He launches and engages with DX and Airmaster. Eat propulsion tanks, suckers! The Frost Bros watch the battle. Garrod catches Airmaster's arm after Duet slices it off. They notice it is using a wire cutter. Garrod tells Witz to act as bait. The two work together to take down the Britova. It was a relatively mid-battle if we're being honest. Duet changes personalities before dying. General Bandleader says, "Come at me, bro." They do in fact come at him. He does take out a Daughters though. No, General Bandleader! So much for this year's Christmas parade. Lux wants to take the fall for all of this. Astardo is surrendering to the new UNE in 4 days, giving the Freedom crew an opportunity to flee. Roy realizes this girl is strapped. Kid confirms that food tastes like shit on the Freedom. The next day, the Freedom takes off. Roy never came back to the ship. The Frost Bros lost 2 guys and say 3rd time's a charm. This time they hire Ensign Milra Dread. He is known as the Killing Machine and will be piloting the Gable. The NRX-010 Gable is a massive prototype heavy mobile suit standing at 28.3 meters tall and 22.5 metric tons. This only has 2 beam deflection field generators on each shoulder, making it impenetrable with beam attacks. This is too heavy to carry any weapons and just relies on brute force. Fun fact, this is lighter than a ball. The ball makes no sense and I love it. The insurgents that Piano Lady are working for tell Roy to work with them or die. Suddenly, the new UNE surrounds them. They flee out the window, but Piano Lady is shot. Oh, that's her name. President Willis plans on fleeing the country. But when they meet up with the Freedom, they are met with the Gable. The team launches to fight the giant mobile suit. The Gastaran army approaches. They are after the president. Commander Romanov is in the Bandal. The Bandal is a mobile land fortress. This has 2 giant photon particle beam cannons along with auxiliary beam cannons and double beam cannons. This can store an unknown amount of mobile suits. Before dying, Urena says to go back to the Freedom. One of the resistance guys says, "Don't worry, I got you." And he blows himself up to allow Roy to escape. What a nice guy. Did anyone catch his name? Oh well. Jamil heads out in the divider. Roy says, "Hold on, I'm a-comin'." He gets into his Gundam. Beam weapons don't work on the Gable. It crushes Leopard's arms. Roy says, "Check out my shell weapons." He is able to make a small hole. This allows everyone to fire on the cracks of the Gable, destroying the mobile suit. The pilot Drade says that he is happy to finally die. The Gastaran army moves in on them. They suggest they use the satellite cannon on the army, but the president decides to give himself up. "Time to put my big boy band pants on." Lux tells President Willis that he made a deal with the new UNE and sacrificed himself. Even though President Willis is going to be a puppet of the new UNE's rule, he still has to be there for his people. Willis eventually signed the treaty with new UNE, ending the war in Southeast Asia. New UNE's power is slowly growing. Tifa is having a horny dream and wants Garrod to express his feelings to her. She wakes up Jamil asking if she could find Newtype labs for them. Roy is upgrading his Gundam. Garrod's working on his Gundam and has been ignoring Tifa. The Frost brothers are recruiting Abel Bauer to take down the Gundam. This time they are recruiting a Newtype, but Abel has yet to awaken his Newtype potential. He is a Flash system compatible Newtype, unlike the brothers. Shagia says that many have awakened their powers on the battlefield, so maybe the same will happen to him. Good luck. He was stationed at Sane's Island before this. Meanwhile, at Sane's Island, Anil is seeking justice for her ex by attacking a new UNE base. This is now under new UNE's occupation. She is piloting the Genis Kai Anil L Custom. The RMS 006G Genis Kai Anil Custom is a modified Genis Kai with enhanced sensor range. This mobile suit has a redesigned head unit and can outperform new UNE and SRA mobile suits. Weapons include 2 machine cannons in the torso, a 100mm machine gun, the Octape Kai's beam rifle, and a giant bazooka. The Doc thinks Tifa's need for affection is messing with her new type powers. New UNE approaches and the boys launch. Roy's unit is still getting upgrades. He is mad for timing this upgrade poorly. Abel fights the Frieden crew and the Rasvet. The NRX 016 Rasvet is developed by the new UNE and is equipped with the Flash system. This allows the unit to control bits, specifically the bit Rasvet. These are unmanned mobile suits that are fully functioning Rasvets. These are used to overwhelm the enemy with numbers. Weapons include a rifle and a beam saber. The Frost Bros pull back to make it harder for Abel. Tifa could sense him on the battlefield. Suddenly, the bits are activated. He has activated the Flash system and has awakened his new type potential. Garrod and Wits lose ground. Jamil launches in GX to help. They have to attack the main unit, but they all look the same. Garrod distracts the bits, but they surround DX and assault him with beam attacks. Tifa heads to the deck and uses new type stuff to show Garrod which unit is able. As he falls towards Earth, he throws his beam saber at the Rasvet and critically damages his mobile suit. The Frost Bros tell him to retreat. Jamil throws the harmonica at Garrod and tells him to ride that harmonica, bro. Abel knows it was Tifa's fault and he charges at her, but Garrod stops him. The Freedom crew heads back to the ship as they retreat. Later, the Frost Bros point a gun at Abel. Remember, a few episodes back, Sal mentioned that a new type just has to activate the Flash system. But even more petty, the brothers are a little jealous of the Flash system new types. We will learn why in the next episode. They kill Abel. Garrod looks after Tifa. Since Anil attacked New UNE on Sane's Island, she is being hunted down. Nicola Fafis is keeping an eye on her and wants to bring her in on his plan. Bloodman thinks that there are spies amongst the new UNE. The Frieden is looking for new type labs. Even Jamil doesn't know much about it. Sal shows off the new Gundam Leopard Destroy. The GT-9600D Gundam Leopard Destroy is the repaired Leopard after being destroyed by the Gable. The Gatling gun is replaced with a twin beam cylinder, which can fold out. This could still mount optional missile pods on the arms and legs. The unit also retains the rollers in the legs and can dock with the G-Falcon. Other weapons include a pair of chest Gatling guns, homing missiles, a pair of head beam guns, a cannon in the right shoulder, 11 missile pods also in the right shoulder, a wrist beam gun, a beam knife in the right leg, and a heat axe. Tifa sketches Garrod. Nicola takes Anil to a bar where she meets people like her. Shaggy heads to Newtype Labs and meets with Karen, who gives him a backhanded compliment about being an undesirable Newtype. Shaggy wants to allow the Freeden into Newtype Labs and catch them in a trap. Meanwhile, Orba heads to the nearest Bandel and tells the new UNE commanders that Newtype Labs are in contact with the Freeden, and they are traitors. The Frost brothers are screwing over Newtype Labs. Nicola is currently heading to Newtype Labs. Tifa has a premonition and thinks she will never see Garrod again. Now's the chance to say you love her, bro. Any minute now. It's getting all Macross in here. Karen allows Jamil into Newtype Labs. They think it is a trap, but he goes anyways. Karen believes that Newtypes will be used as weapons, but this is the reasoning that destroyed humanity during the war to begin with. She thinks that Newtypes are products birthed of war. Jamil once saw through time, and it showed a future where humanity thrived. This is what gives him hope. He says he will destroy places like this. That is when the new UNE attacks the Freeden. Garrod and the boys launch. Roy shows off his new upgrades to Valiants that get too close to the Freeden. The Frost Bros regroup and betray Karen in Newtype Labs. The two brothers are mad that they were cast out because they weren't Flash System type Newtypes. Their abilities to communicate instantaneously over long distances is something that should be studied, but they don't because they can't control the Flash System. New UNE seems to put Newtypes in a box. The two destroy Newtype Labs. One man wants Nicola to continue Operation Verbena. He helps get Jamil back to his ship. Jamil gets into GX. Meanwhile, Nicola sneaks onto their ship and steals Tifa. Garrod finds out and chases after her. Bloodman is mad that the Frost Bros made moves on Newtype Labs and puts a stop to it. Garrod is too late. Nicola and Tifa launch into space. He cries out for Tifa. Shaggy tries to destroy the Freeden, and Jamil fends them off. The Frost Brothers are told to retreat and don't end up killing the Freeden crew. Why? I guess the story has to happen. Tifa is determined to return to Garrod. The crew asks Garrod where Tifa is. He just cries. That isn't helping, use your words. They don't know how to get into space, but Jamil knows of a spaceport nearby. They meet with Anil. She tells them of Nicola's plan to return to space and SRA with Newtypes. They already have control of the base. Anil decided to stay on Earth. She says to Garrod, "If I can't have your body, kid, you better go save Tifa so she can have it." Jamil thinks of his old nemesis, Lance Rowe Darwell. Bloodman sends Admiral Kazak and his team to intercept the base. The base doesn't want to take Garrod, but they offer him the Gundam. Jamil knows that they stole new UNE mobile suits to take back to the colonies to study. They should also study DX. They agree to let him join. The alarms go off. New UNE approaches. The Freeden will protect the base. They begin their assault led by the Frost Boys. The Bandal fires a megaparticle cannon and takes out the hangar. The ship somehow survives and takes off. The Freeden crew decides to ram the Bandal. The bridge crew escape, but what about the hundreds of others on the ship? Garrod makes it into space. Meanwhile, Tifa makes it to the colonies. The colony on the dark side of the moon was never affected by the war, and they live a lavish life. Controlling the colonies is Seidel Rasso, who never expected Nicola to come back with good news. We will learn that this will actually be a problem for Seidel, but he believes that Newtypes are born in the colonies. The commander of the Bartok is Narar Gamo. The Bartok-class ship is a basic cruiser that SRA stole from the new UNE forces. This has a few double-beam cannons and one hangar. Nicola shows off Tifa to Seidel. He thought no Newtypes can be born on Earth. Narar contacts Seidel and informs him of the Gundam. The commander tells him to go to military colony number 7 and deposit the Gundam first. They will keep the pilot prisoner for now. Of course, Garrod heard all of this. Out in space, some Genesis and Crudas are training. The RMS 006 Genesis is a mass production mobile suit developed by SRA, and it was their main mobile suit during the 7th Space War. Remember, the Kai variant is the ground variant, making this space use only. Weapons include 2 upper torso machine cannons, 2 torso Vulcans, a 100mm machine gun, a beam rifle, a heat hawk, a giant bazooka, and a shield. This is essentially a Zaku with a mustache. The RMS 019 Cruda is superior to the Genesis and has heavy armor that can take beam rifle attacks. This unit has a flaw in that there is an exhaust opening in the front which destroys the unit if hit. Weapons include Vulcan guns, beam cutters, and a beam rifle. These are under command of Captain Lancerow. Seidel contacts them and tells them to intercept the Gundam. He thinks that this may be his old friend Jamil. Garrod takes the captain prisoner and heads to his Gundam to make his escape. He ends up fleeing into the colony.
Time to use beam weapons. Whoops, Garrod made a hole. Lancero launches in his Cruda Custom. The RMS 019R Cruda Lancero Custom is the exact same mobile suit, but with a different antenna and color. We learn that Lancero and Jamil fought many battles against one another during the war. During the final battle, Lancero lost his Newtype powers. Seidel refuses to believe that Newtypes can be born on Earth and reject Tifa. Gotta dive deeper into that delusion, bro. Garrod mastered flying in space already, but he is outnumbered. They chip away at the Gundam's armor. Garrod uses some spooge. His unit isn't going to make it. Suddenly, someone piloting a G-Falcon attaches to the Gundam and takes off at great speeds. The GS-9900 G-Falcon is a high-speed support fighter developed by UNE for the 7th War. This functions as a support unit for Gundam-type mobile suits. It is made with lunar titanium and can perform atmospheric re-entries. One of these units was stolen by Satellicon. This has an A module, which is the cockpit and Vulcan guns, and is a mini-craft. The B modules contain weapons. These B parts can also be remote controlled. It also has a sub-arm to help with Gundam docking. G-Falcon is able to combine with Double X, Airmaster Burst, and Leopard Destroy. Weapons include Vulcan guns, 20 infrared micro missiles, and a scattering beam cannon. Lancero wonders if this is Satellicon.
Satellicon is an anti-government group that opposes Newtypism. They get Garrod medical attention. In the colonies, SRA has a parade, but Tifa tells Nicola that something bad is about to happen. Nicola tries to tell Seidel, but he doesn't listen, at least until the bomb goes off. Then he starts to listen. The attack was done by Satellicon, so they decide to respond with their own assault. Garrod wakes up to a pair of boobs he isn't used to. The girl tells him that he has been out for 5 days. Her name is Paula Sis. They will fix his mobile suit if he agrees to help them in a battle against Cloud9. She tells Garrod that the Gundam and the G-Falcon can dock. Paula, like Garrod, grew up in a bad post-war environment, not really knowing her family. SRA plans on testing inhumane weapons on Satellicon before using them on Earth. They fixed up DX. Paula gives them a normal suit because of, space. Did Garrod forget that? SRA begins their attack. Watch out for those croutons! Garrod and Paula launch. As they launch, their ship is destroyed. The new croutons are more powerful than expected, but Garrod learns to shoot them in their holes. Lancero joins the battle. He asks, "How's Jamil doing these days?" He tells him that Jamil isn't with New UNE and is trying to help Newtypes. The SRA fleet launches reflex missiles and takes out Satellicon, which I assume are nukes. They need to run, but DX's verniers are shot. Paula docks with the Gundam, and they get out of there. Paula is sad that she lost another home. Meanwhile, SRA is planning Operation Dahlia, which they plan on using a colony laser on Earth. Lancero wished that he met Jamil and other rogue Newtypes earlier, so he wouldn't be in this situation currently. Seidel still refuses to believe that Tifa is a Newtype. She calls him a weak bitch and then passes out. The confidence this girl exudes, man. Some of you 40-year-old weebs need to get on this little girl's level. Lancero tells Nicola that the Gundam is still out there. The two show real concern for Newtypes. SRA prepares the laser. Garrod launches and gets a line of sight on the moon. The G-Falcon runs distraction while Garrod fires the satellite cannon. He misses. It takes 17 minutes to fire again. He was just firing a warning shot. They demand they hand over Tifa or they will destroy it. Seidel gives in to their demand. Once they have Tifa back, Garrod says, "Just kidding," and fires again, destroying the colony laser. Tifa and Garrod are finally reunited. Calm down, it's only been 5 episodes. Also, Fei Wong be damned. They head back to Earth, but they're unfortunately met with the Frost Brothers and New UNE. DX stalks with G-Falcon and fights Shagia. He tells Garrod that the Freedom crew were thrown into an internment camp. This isn't the first time in Gundam we've seen a crew happy and making the best of internment camps. G-Falcon and DX split apart. They're overwhelmed. Orba threatens to crush Paula. They capture them and take them to meet Bloodman. New UNE was planning on intercepting the attack by SRA. Garrod will tell them what he knows of the SRA if they free the Freedom crew. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Orba think to one another. Bloodman has a secret. It would be a shame if Tifa read his thoughts. With the help of Tifa, we learn that the New UNE is trying to get their hands on Dome. Dome was also mentioned by SRA as well. We will learn what this is soon. They know that New UNE just wants to use Newtypes as tools and are equally as bad as SRA. Before getting executed, the Freedom crew are saved by the Vertigo. It is Karis Nautilus. He brings them their mobile suits as well. Duroc cold climate types also help out against New UNE. They all work together to take down New UNE. Karis tells the Freedom crew that Garrod is back on Earth and in the hands of Noon. They have to go save him. Garrod, Paula, and Tifa break out of captivity and find the Gundam and G-Falcon. The Frost Bros chase after them. Orba is piloting the Hermit Crab, and Shaggy is using the new chest brake. The NRX 0015 HC Gundam Astron Hermit Crab is the upgraded version of Astron and can be used in space. This has improved propulsion and a larger backpack. The mobile armor form is as fast as G-Falcon. This has the satellite launcher, which is on the level of the satellite cannon, but must be used with Versago chest brake. The atomic scissors have been replaced with the gigantic scissors installed in the backpack. This can crush the Cruda. It also has a beam cannon mounted between the pincers. Other weapons include a beam saber and a machine cannon. The NRX 0013 CB Gundam Versago chest brake removes the inner frame of the old model and replaced with tubing that gives limbs flexibility. The wings allow it to function as a satellite system with the help of Gundam Astron Hermit Crab. Its only new weapon is a triple megasonic cannon, which is a 3-barrel cannon over a single barrel, like the old model. Other weapons include a beam saber and a strike claw that could shoot claw cannons. DX and G-Falcon undock, but Orba grabs the Gundam. They are shot. It is the Freedom crew coming to help. The brothers retreat. Paula joins the Freedom crew. Garrod tells them of everything, but they still don't know what this dome is. The Frost Bros tell Bloodman that they killed Aimzat to get closer to him and fuel his ego by saying that they think he should be the rightful ruler. Bloodman doesn't believe that Newtypes are the next step in human evolution, but rather tools for the old guard to use. The Frost Bros agree but are feeding into his delusions. While talking, we see a hawk catching its prey. Guys, it's a metaphor. Seidel arrests Nicola for treason. All he said was, "Maybe we should wait to go to war." Many of the new UNE High Command also want to postpone this war as well. Anyways, let's all get into this one shuttle. The Frost Bros decide to test their new satellite launcher on the shuttle, killing all of the people who oppose Bloodman. Throughout this part of the story, the Frost Brothers make it apparent that they are in control. Roy attaches the G-Falcon. He says, "Oh man, is this what it's like to have a flying mobile suit? I've been missing out." The new UNE is about to start the new space war. After the colonies dropped, nuclear winters engulfed the Earth. Tanya mentions that she didn't see the sun until she was 7 years old. Nicholas sends a message to Lancero. He says, "If you are seeing this message, then I probably have been executed for treason." He says to Lancero to try to find a peaceful outcome for Newtypes. Seidel personally joins the SRA fleet so he could find Dome. Witz gives Tanya a ring. Anil says, "Boy, I wish someone would give me a ring." Wink, wink. Garrod and Tifa finally kiss. While briefing for the upcoming battle, Tifa stops moving. Her new type spirit searches for Dome. When she wakes, she says that she must go to the moon. At that same time, they learn that SRA is changing course towards the moon as well. They plan on taking the old UNE moon base. Karis and the Fort 7 crew won't give them access to their mass driver system because they don't want to get involved. Fort 7 is the only nation that doesn't seem to yield their power to new UNE. The moonbase has its own defense system in the form of G-bits, controlled by Dome. This is the G-bit Dome. The FX9900D G-bit Dome are bits similar to GX bits, which can also utilize the satellite cannon, and it also has the flash system. This fires a rapid burst attack as opposed to a concentrated beam energy. It also only has 2 satellite dishes instead of the 4 like GX bits. Its other weapon includes a chest beam cannon. Lancero wonders who is controlling the bits. While engaging with him, the new UNE fleet joins the battle. Karis helps the team steal a ship, and they take off from the mass driver system. They call this new ship the Freedom 2. The Freedom 2 was originally a ship at Fort 7's New Orleans military base. It is equipped with double beam cannons, twin missile launchers, and anti-air laser machine guns. It also has a beam deflection field generator. They head into space as the 8th Space War begins. Earlier, Roy says to Sarah, "So, should we hook up since we might die?" But it seems that she has unrequited feelings for Jamil. The battle wages on when more bits are activated. The Frost Brothers are fighting against Lancero. The satellite cannon is activated by Garrod. Everyone gets the hell out of the way. The Freedom crew moves in. Anil stays behind to protect the ship. SRA and New UNE attack the Freedom crew. Jamil is surrounded by the Datrus Neo. The NRX 018-2 Datrus Neo is the next generation of mobile suits for New UNE. The Datrus Neo can fly in Earth's atmosphere without changing equipment. Its main weapon is the beam cutters in each forearm. It also uses the same beam rifle as the Valiant. Garrod is fighting with the Frost Brothers. And Tifa is there too, I guess. She senses great hatred in the world. The two brothers complain about how hard their suffering was. Garrod tells the two to grow up. Orba grabs him while Shaggy fires his chest cannons. Jamil tries to save DX, but he doesn't need to. Lancero comes in to help the Freedom crew. Garrod heads to the moon base while the rest fend off New UNE. The Bits don't attack DX and allow them to land near the base. Bloodman realizes it is the Bits that are protecting the base. Everyone converges on the moon base. Lancero and Jamil meet face to face for the first time. They learn that Dome is the first Newtype ever. Naturally, once humanity realized the existence of Newtypes, they tortured and dissected them. Patient Zero, known as Dome, is essentially a brain in a jar. This was done by the old UNE, and Bloodman of course knows of this. Jamil gets in between both SRA and New UNE and says that they're just both awful. However, Tifa knows that Dome isn't dead. She decides to ask Dome the answers to what went wrong 15 years ago. Shaggy and Orba destroy the Bits. They transform to use their satellite launcher. Dome says, "Welcome to the Newtype realm, you nerds." He tells them that Newtypes are an illusion. Power and evolution are not the same. He frames it as though he was merely a mutation that should have come and gone. One thing Dome knows for certain is that Newtypes aren't going to shape humanity like the New UNE wanted, and they aren't something to be idolized like SRA does. Jamil said he once saw time. Certainly that wasn't an illusion. Dome says it was an illusion because one must take the steps to make it a reality. He uses Garrod as an example. Many times Tifa saw a future where danger was about to happen, and Garrod stopped that reality from coming true. Jamil realizes that he is the one being held prisoner by his idealism as well. This is such a solid lesson for everyone. But then Dome says, "My job is done here. I'm leaving now." Just hits you in the head with a generic cliche after a touching moment. So much whiplash. Roy looks at Sarah and says, "Yeah, this doesn't look like it's happening, huh?" This was all happening in the Newtype realm, apparently. Back in the real world, the Frost Bros fire their satellite launcher and kill Seidel and Bloodman. Even after the nice little Newtype chat, they still wanted to kill each other, probably for the best. That is when Garrod faces off with the two once and for all. Garrod says you should really meet Dome. Pretty cool guy. Or Spirit Ball thing? The Frost Bros and Garrod activate their satellite systems at the same time and fire. The blast creates a giant fireball, and we see the moon base and the Flash system satellite destroyed. We're done. Cut to the epilogue. You get no more answers. 6 months later, Karis goes to find himself. There are still small-scale conflicts on Earth and in space. Jamil and Lancero try to find peace. Jamil is with his trusted partner, Sarah. The Freedom crew are working as Junkers now. Witz takes Tanya to meet his family. Roy is with Anil. The better choice anyways, if we're being honest. Garrod and Tifa travel the world. Also, those dicks, the Frost Bros, are still alive. The world of Newtypes have come to an end. And that will conclude After Colony Gundam X. I remember liking this 20 years ago, but rewatching it, I kind of love it. The story ends with killing the idealism of Newtypism. It's an ego death moment, which is very Joseph Campbell. A little rushed at the end, and the middle gets a little too Monster of the Week, but overall, this is solid. Now that we have covered Gundam X, we dive into the sequel series, Under the Moonlight. 9 years have passed. Junkers find a black Gundam X, and an organization is trying to rebuild Dome. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, the moon will always be there. Peace.